So I made a video of the beta called Should You Buy Kingdom Come Deliverance. Now, I feel a bit stupid for making that video now because I shouldn't really have made it over the beta because I didn't have that much of a clue what this whole game was about, and I have a completely different view on the game now. So I'm going to redo this video, and this is not going to be your typical review video. There's not going to be a script. This is going to be 100% just my thoughts. A bit of a maybe a long rant about this game, and I think some people out there really need to listen because oh my god, is it embarrassing, some of the comments that I've heard about this game. People don't understand what type of a game this is, and yeah, let's get into this. First off, let's talk about the negatives, so we can get that out of the way so I can get onto the real point of this video. Bugs. Yes, there are a lot of bugs in this game. Some of them anger me very, very much, and some of them can be a little bit game breaking. Some missions I've had to restart because of some bugs, especially the bandit mission where you have to attack the bandit camp. That is riddled with bugs. That really pissed me off, that mission, quite a bit. The archers, you go up to them and they're shooting you point blank. Yes, I know you're supposed to shoot them with a bow at the back, but honestly, if you even try and get up close and they're going to shoot you point blank, it kind of gets a little bit ridiculous. Some of my guys got stuck. They were merging into some of the hills and things. It doesn't really cope well with elevation in this game. I was doing a mission where I had to find out where the coin manufacturers were in the skeleton mines, and I think it's Sir Ulfric, the German guy who came with me, he was just running into this hill constantly, even though I'd asked him to come and help me, but I eventually had to do it on my own because, yeah, he was a bit of a bugger. There's also a horse glitch where you try and jump a fence, and if you land on the fence, the horse is just going to get stuck there. You have to get off. You have to call the horse over to somewhere else. That's a little bit annoying. And some missions, the markers pop in and out for me a little bit. I've heard a lot of people have said there's crashing in this game, which is a bit weird because I've not had a single crash in this game, so that's not really been a problem for me at all. And on the console, I've heard that, yes, it does lag quite a bit, but that's what you get for playing on console, if I'm going to be honest with you. Now, I'm joking. It should be definitely more optimized for the console, and yes, for the PC, it needs to be a little bit more optimized. I do get around 60 FPS on the highest settings, but even then, that is with a 1080 Ti Strix and an i7 7700K. So yeah, that's still not great for that kind of rig. So it needs to be stepped up a little bit, the optimization, but all in all, I think it's alright. Popping can be a little bit weird if you don't have the settings all cranked up, which is quite hard because it will lag a little bit if you do crank it all the way up. Now we're talking going back onto that bandit camp attack. The bandit camp leader was almost impossible to kill for me, and it really pissed me off. Really, really pissed me off. But hey, I eventually beat him, and then it made me realize what kind of a game this was. This was not your typical RPG. This was not your hold your hand RPG like Skyrim or The Witcher. They are great games, but they are not proper RPGs. When I was fighting this bandit camp leader, I genuinely felt upset. I was playing for about an hour and I was trying to kill this dude, and I just couldn't do it. I gave up after a little bit, walked away, and I just felt like, what am I doing? Like, why can't I do this? I want to be able to get on to the next bit of the game. I need to work out a way of doing this because it was really getting to me that I couldn't beat it, and that's the kind of game this was. It had such an effect on me that just the inability to beat this guy made me, as an actual guy, feel really down at this time because I wanted to find out a way to beat him, and I was thinking through my head, how can I do this? And finally, someone contacted me on Twitter after I'd asked for a little bit of help, and they told me the best way to do it, and finally I did it. And the reward, once I'd beaten this guy, was incredible. The feeling of beating this dude back, oh my word, it was great. Now, of course, some other bugs are things like the stairs. You will have some issues on some stairs. Sometimes they'll just refuse to let you past. Don't know what all that is about. So I've had more issues going up the stairs and down the stairs, but then again, I have seen some gameplay where even just walking downstairs, you'll get stuck on them. All you have to do is kind of run back and then sprint up the stairs if you can. Just try and get it a different way. But yeah, these are a few bugs, but bugs can be patched. This is the thing. It's an early open world game, and people are saying, oh, it's so buggy, it's terrible. What open world game has been released with no bugs at all? Exactly. That's just the nature of open world games. And for a game that has such a small budget in terms of massive games, most games have tens of millions of dollars of this size. This game has not. I think it was $3 to $5 million they used in this game. Maybe it was a little bit more, I'm not 100% sure. But what they've achieved with this is absolutely incredible. So, what do I think about this game? Now, this is going to get a little bit heated. Some people might not like this bit. If you're into your typical RPGs and you think this game is terrible because it's boring and you're terrible at everything in it, you might not want to watch this bit of the video. You might get a bit angry. First off, don't come into the game thinking you're going to play an RPG in inverted commas. When I say this, I mean, this game is not your typical run-of-the-mill RPG like Skyrim or the Witcher games. This game craps all over them in terms of RPG. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what you call a real role-playing game, not some poncy fantasy open world thing where running around and stealing people's shit causes little to no repercussions. Things like sneaking around behind an NPC, they'll turn around, they'll be like, what are you doing around there? And then walk off. No, this game, if someone sees you sneaking around, they're going to wonder what you're doing. And if you don't stop, they might have something to say to you. And if you still don't stop, they're going to get some guards. They might deal with it themselves depending on their stats, because everyone in this game, all the NPCs, have real stats, individual unique stats, and they can do different things to each other. This is not a game where the combat is so piss poor that smashing through hordes of enemies is no threat, and where health gets low, you're just like, you know what, let's just pause the game while I go into my inventory and take a health potion. There we go, back to full health. Let's continue smashing these guys. No. Witcher and Skyrim are great games, don't get me wrong. They've revolutionized the RPG genre, but it's a different RPG genre. This game is a proper RPG. Many people said, why are you calling this an industry-changing RPG? Games like The Witcher and Skyrim have done this before. No, they have not. And if you genuinely think this game is the same as any other RPG that's been on the market for the past 10, 15 years, you have such tinted spectacles, there is no help for you. This game is incredibly different. And I'm going to go into why now. They said they wanted realism, but no one really understood that it would be this sort of realism. Like, genuine realism. So many people, including me, honestly, during the beta, said that it's bad because Henry is shit at everything in the beginning. Yeah, during the beta, I didn't get much of perspective because I was starting, I think it was a third or a quarter of the way through the storyline, and I was just terrible because as a player, I'm pretty bad at the combat at the beginning, because that's how the combat works, but I'll get into that a little bit later. But putting it into perspective, playing it from the very beginning, you realise this is not your typical game. This is more of a simulation. You have to play in the life of Henry. You don't play as Henry. You are Henry in this game. The combat, I used to hate it during the beta. And honestly, during the start of the game, I wasn't a massive fan either. Now, I bloody love the combat. They have been a genius with the combat, but it takes a while to get a hold of this. If you go into this game thinking you can spam combat, or even like a Mount and Blade combat style thing, you're completely wrong. This is a realistic combat simulation, and you have to grow and train. If you're bad at it, you train. You keep on training. You train as a swords master, as a mace master, even with axes and things. Horse riding, you're going to be terrible at the beginning. You're going to keep falling off. You're going to be trying to hop over fences, and you're not going to be able to make it half the time. You'll hop over a stream, and you'll land in the middle of the bloody thing. I think, what am I doing in this stream? Why can't I hop over this? I should be great at horse riding. Oh, like pretty much any other RPG, I get on a horse, and I can do it absolutely fine. I can go from one place to another. There's no gameplay here, it's just used as a means of getting around. No, in Kingdom Come Deliverance, horse riding is used as a mean to practice. You can't use it as a means to get around until you got good at it. Yeah, so at the beginning you might be able to jump over a few things, you might be pretty fast with it, but once you practice, you level up your skills on horse riding, and as a player you know the best timings for jumping, you know the best ways, the best amount of maneuverability your horse has got. You learn your horse's stats so you can use your knowledge to actually work that into the game. Let's say if you wanted to go around a sharp corner, you know how fast you have to be to actually make that corner, because you've trained and practiced with this horse. I've got a horse called Pegasus. She's a beautiful beast. I don't have a saddle on her at the moment. I couldn't afford it. I spent like $2 grand on this horse, and I couldn't afford the saddle or anything like that when I first got it, and I still don't have it. I have enough money now, I just haven't got bound to actually buying it. I kept falling off the horse, and I was like, why am I doing this? I didn't have a bloody saddle on it, and I was too low stats to actually ride this horse properly. I'd be running through the woods at really high speed. This is one of the fastest horses that I've pretty much ever played in any game. This was faster than most of the other horses in Kingdom Come. I found one of the fastest horses. I was running through the woods. Suddenly I went over a log and I fell off my horse. At first I was extremely confused, then I realised this horse has got pretty high stats. What am I doing riding this horse as a beginner to Kingdom Come Deliverance? So I leveled up my horse, I went for a few rides, you know. After a few hours of riding, doing some jumps and things, going through woods, going over tricky terrain, I'd leveled up, and now I don't have any issues with it. This is the kind of game this is. Archery, you're going to be terrible at it. You're going to be shaking your hands, they're going to be flying everywhere. If you use a bow that isn't the bow that you've got enough stats for, if you're not good enough to use that bow, you're going to try and shoot, you're going to break the arrow. You're not strong enough to hold this bow back, and it's just going to flop in front of you and break. You need to practice, practice, practice. I don't even know how many times I can say it. Don't come into this game thinking that you're going to be amazing at everything straight away, because you're not. In real life, you're not. You're terrible at things until you practice at it. And play the game the same way. Even just bloody talking to people. You have to improve your character, even your charisma. If you want to persuade people to do things, work on your charisma, get better stuff, dress as a nobleman. I keep this necklace that's worth about 1.2k. I could sell it and get some money from that, but I decided not to. I decided to keep this necklace and I wear it with me all the time because it makes people think, oh, he's got some expensive things on him. I'm going to respect him. I'm better at persuasion now. I can talk to people more. I wear nobleman's boots when I don't have all my armor on. Yes, when you go around in full plate armor, people are going to respect you, but you don't want to go around in full plate armor. You don't want to intimidate everyone all the time because honestly, you're going to get stopped by a few things. Something really impressive with these small details of the game. I went to buy something from this was very early on in the game. I went to buy something from the armory. I was in rags pretty much. I was pretty dirty, hadn't washed in time, so people were giving me a weird looks. I went to buy something and I legitimately bought it. Okay, I did some haggling. I think it was a short sword that I bought from the armory. And as you do in any other RPG, because it's just what you do, you sprint everywhere. So I got my sword, I sprinted out the shop, and some guards chased me. They said stop, so I stopped obviously because I didn't think I'd done anything wrong, and they questioned me. And I was very, very confused. But they said, oi, what have you been stealing? And I said, I've not been stealing anything. They checked me and like, okay, you're free to go, sorry about that. And I was very confused, but then I realised I was dressed in rags, I was dirty. I looked like someone that shouldn't be buying this sword, because I just put all my armor in the chest previously because I'd gone out hunting. And I'd run out this shop. And what does it look like if someone comes in drags with a sword on them? A quite nice sword, I have to say, running out of the armory. You're going to think, they've just robbed that. They couldn't have bought that. They don't have the money. They're not dressed as they should be to buy that sort of thing. They don't look like they have the money to buy that sword. So the guards stopped me because they thought that I'd robbed it just because I'd run out of shop. How awesome is that? These small details that really immerse you in the game and make it feel like you're actually in this medieval world. Going back to combat though, most games you have the ability to spam every little enemy that comes at you. You can smash into them, and the only thing holding you back is your character skills. You need to level up, and once you've leveled up, then you can beat everyone back. Yeah, absolutely fine. This game, it doesn't work like this. The combat is done in such a precise way that you as a player is just as shit as Henry in the beginning. Henry, he can't wield these heavy swords, and you don't know how to use them either. You're going to be trying to do attacks, but you're not going to be able to do it because you don't know how the best attacks are used with this sword. You need to learn the stats. As a person, you need to learn the way to use it. Yes, you will level up your strength and agility, pretty much like every other game, but the combat skills are learned in such a way that they're more combinations of attacks, different feints and parries, that you as a real life person sitting behind your computer have to remember. You have to engrave them in your mind and practice with these so you don't forget them. Because if you don't use them, you're going to be pretty much as shit as you were in the beginning. You're just going to be swinging your sword and things unless you use these special attacks or skills that you've learned. So not only does your character learn the skills, but you as a player sitting behind the computer have to learn and memorize these things, and that is just an incredible way of doing the combat. I absolutely love it. I used to be terrified of everyone in the game. I'd just get beaten up constantly in battle. If someone would attack me, I'd just have to run away because I'd be scared that I was going to lose. The other day, I had a mission where I had to clear out some bandit camps. It was sort of a side mission from Sir Bernard, and there was a bandit camp with about 6 or 7 guys in there. I waltzed in. I was in pretty good armor. This was a point I was in pretty good. I leveled up my skills pretty enough. I've been doing a lot of training with Sir Bernard, and as a person, I'd realised and I memorised a lot of these combinations of things. Just waltzed into this bandit camp, and I just slew 6 or 7 of these guys on the spot. They were coming at me. I was just chopping them down left and right. 1 or 2 hits to the face. 1 hit to the face, then a stab to the chest. It was absolutely brilliant. I felt like an absolute god right now. And they were so terrified that the last few, even me just walking to them with just my blood on my sword and blood all over my armor, they'd seen their friends get killed. Just walking up to these guys, they just started yielding. And how awesome did I feel? But you'd be able to do this pretty much at the start of any other RPG. This was after about 20 or 30 hours of getting to this point, training and training and training, and getting this armor, getting these swords, learning how to use them, and now I had finally accomplished this, and I was a proper knight now. I could stand on my own in the battle because I'd worked and worked to get there. I wasn't given it, I wasn't spoon-fed it by the game. I'd spent hours and hours working to this point, and the reward was incredible. Starting the game, fighting one guy with his fist, he could beat the hell out of me. Now I could slay pretty much anyone that came at me. Let's go into the storyline. This is an extremely story-driven thing. It's more story-driven than pretty much any other open-world RPG you'll ever play. The game revolves around many cutscenes. Yes, some people might think there's too many. Me personally, I know there are quite a lot of cutscenes, and sometimes it can get a little bit worried, but on the whole, I am fine with just sitting down and listening to how it's going. I am immersed in the story so much that all the cutscenes they don't feel unnecessary to me. Every single cutscene is done to perfection, that they all improve the story at some point. The game is not going to hold your hand. So let's say if you're listening to a cutscene, you're talking to someone, or you're asking them different questions, you better be listening to what they're saying, because if you don't and they say something that you miss, not as a character but as a player, good luck with that mission. Yeah, you'll get basic tips, so on the map you'll see maybe where you want to go, but sometimes that doesn't come up. Sometimes you don't get tips of where you need to go. You need to have listened to where you need to go. You need to have listened of the best successful way of doing it. Maybe there was one mission where I had to go and attack this mine at Scalus, and Sir Ulfric, I could have gone and asked for his help, or I could have just gone on my own. In the end, I had to go and ask for his help, but I had no idea where he was. But then I remembered that earlier on he said he'd be waiting at a certain point in the woods, so I went to get him because I had remembered that. These are things that if you miss in the game, if you miss that people are saying to you, you're not going to get tips. No one's going to hold your hand in this game. The game is not going to do anything for you. You better be listening to every single word that a character is saying to you if it involves in the story. Otherwise you're going to miss something important. And obviously it's not going to stop you from doing the whole story, but you're going to be a lot less successful, and you're probably not going to quite be as good as it. It kind of gets to me that so many people are whining about this game because they're so used to being held onto by a game. They're so used to being spoon-fed everything. So people are going to be holding your hand all the way, and that's what they expect. People expect that every step of the way the game is going to tell you exactly what to do, where to go, who to speak to, and how to do it. Work it out yourself. That's what RPGs are about. That's what they're supposed to be about, at least. And so many people are like, oh, I'm so bad at lockpicking. And yes, I was like that at the start. I was terrible. But that's like, wait, no, if I'm bad at lockpicking, why don't I lockpick? Try lockpicking more. That's a good idea. So I went, spent a few hours practicing lockpicking. I was going to different places, sneaking and stuff, doing a bit of lockpicking. Now the easy locks can do absolutely fine. Not even an issue. First time, every time. Even the harder locks, I'm starting to get the hang of that. And it's because I practice doing this. You need to spend hours honing and practicing your skills. If you go into this game thinking you're going to rush through it in a couple of hours, stop. Just stop. I played about 36 hours of it, and I don't even think I'm a quarter of the way through the game. Like, it's that kind of game. You have to be immersed in the world. I know it's incredibly tough at the beginning, but what did you expect? Stop presuming the game is going to be like anything else you have played. Yes, I realise on console, some people have said analog sticks are a bit harder to work with. I do understand that. But still, it's even easier if you keep practicing. Don't just do something and then give up with lockpicking. It is one of the hardest aspects of the game in terms of leveling up skills, but it is so rewarding when you can do it, and you become a lot wealthier, as you might expect. But let's go back to the story. The characters are incredibly well painted. They are done well on the most part, I have to say that. There are a few weak ones. Henry, great character, great acting, great voice acting, very convincing. You feel like this guy that's just been coming from nowhere and leveling up, growing as a character throughout the world. It's incredibly done. You don't feel like you're working alongside this guy, you feel like you are Henry. The voice acting, the character arc, the story is done so well that you are so immersed in the game, you are this character. You're not playing as a character, but you are him. Even Henry's father, you stay with him for about 2 hours in the prologue. He's done so well, and his relationship with Henry, the story is so well written. The lines between them, they're so well done, that you can feel this good relationship between them. The relationship, even in the only an hour and a half or so that you actually get this relationship, the few lines that they share with each other, they're so well done. You feel like, yes, this is a father, this is a son. They're pretty close to each other, and this is a guy that wants to learn his father's trade. He respects, he looks up to his father, and that is incredible. And even after this short time with him, you become attached to this father character. And spoiler alert, when he gets attacked, when he gets slain down with the mother on Scarlet, I felt it. The first time in a game where I genuinely got shivers. I watched it back 3 or 4 times because of course when I was editing my first episode, when I was doing my walkthrough of it, I actually got shivers from doing that, and the first time I started to well up a bit. It was a sad part of the story. It was so well done, absolute silence. There was no music, there was no sound effects, there was just the scenes of the mother and father being stabbed to death, being surrounded by these humans, and Henry just looking in horror, and that conveyed very well to me playing it as a player. Now, another character that's great, Hans Coupon. I think Hans Coupon? Well, I called him Hans Cockymouth in my hunting tutorial video, so we'll call him Hans Cockymouth. The start, you're going to absolutely hate him, but he's got a brilliant story arc. He comes up to this character that he's quite lovable. He has a nice relationship with Henry. You can tell at the beginning that he's just this guy that he doesn't know much. He's been brought into this wealth but he doesn't know how to experience it. He doesn't know how to handle it. He's still a little child inside, and he wants to live like a normal guy, but because he's got so much wealth, he thinks too much of himself. But he finally gets grounded. His arc comes around, and you really start to like this character. Congratulations to the story writing and the voice actor on that. I think it's Thomas Dale, something like that. But it's very, very well done, very well acted, and I love Hans Copon, Hans Cockymouth. He is a great character, and I think there needs to be more story arcs like this in games. Even he's not even a main character, he's one of the sort of supporting characters, but he's just done so well. Now, going on to Teresa. Now, it's always hard doing a love arc in a game, a love storyline, and Teresa is sort of the love interest in this. But I have to say, this is one of the most convincing love stories I've ever played in a game. And it's incredible. It's so naturally evolving and put together. You see them slowly spark that relationship between Henry and Teresa. You feel actually like you've known her for years. Of course, they've known each other since children, and it's so well conveyed. The lines between them are so well done. The way they act with each other is so well done. You feel like you've known her for years and years, just like Henry has. Like I said, you feel like you're playing as this character. So if anyone doesn't know how this works, every now and then you go back to see them. You don't go and see them every day, she'll get a little bit annoyed if you keep going back. But every now and then you can go back and see her, you can go for walks and things, and you can improve that relationship until finally you have sex in a barn. You know, but this story arc between these two characters, this subplot is so well and convincingly done. You feel like this would genuinely happen. Nothing in this game happens out of the ordinary. These guys would act this way, they would talk this way with each other, and they would grow this way with each other. That is one of the best subplots, I think, in the game. It's so convincingly done, and of course, it has a payoff to the ending of that story arc. So Radzig, he's one of those characters. He's a nice supporting character. He doesn't do anything too outstanding. I don't think he's written badly at all, but I just don't think he's an outstanding character. He doesn't put himself out there too much, but he's a good, strong plan for the story. He gives you a lot of these missions. You're basically working for him around most of this game, so you're going to be getting a lot of your missions from Sir Radzig. He's very well done, good, strong character for the game. Yes, there are a few weaker ones. There's some passing villagers that have some strange voices that you talk to. Some wayfarers that you come across that on the side of the road can be a little bit strange, not very well done, I have to say. But then again, there are still some that are great. Such as, there's one character who's a knight that you'll come across he's a bit shaky. You go up to him, you're a bit confused. He asks you for a duel, but he seems a bit unwary. And you ask him why, and it's because his mother has sent him out to fight another knight for his honour. He wants to make his mother proud, and it's quite nice. You can let him win, and he'll be very happy about it, and you can give him some stuff. Or you can absolutely beat the crap out of him like I did, and take his sword. But God, I'm an idiot in this game. But nonetheless, none of these characters take you out of the immersion. You are so immersed in this world, I feel like I am in Bohemia, not just playing as it. It feels like, I think I've probably spent more time in Bohemia in 1403, 1405, than I have actually in real life in the past few days. It's a little bit sad, but, you know, I don't feel like it's time wasted. I feel like I've really grown in this, and I'm absolutely addicted to this game. There are a few small details that are really nice. Things like, if you go into a town, a thief might, he might be running out, someone should shout thief, and there might be a thief running out of a house. It might be at night, more likely to be at night, and there's someone be chasing him. Now, you can do sort of things. You can just ignore it, let him go, or you can chase this thief down, you can beat him up, you can take all the stuff, run off with yourself, or you can give it back for a little bit of a reward. There's all these sort of things that many people say they're events in RPGs. In this game, it's not an event. It's just something that happens as it would in real life. People do things. People are walking around just doing things. They might talk to you. They'll say, oh, hey, how are you? You can talk to them. They might do a riddle for you or something like that. It's just random little things that happen. They're not really events because they don't feel planned at all. They flow so well with the whole story. There's things like, as in any other game, you kind of get a bit too overburdened, you get a bit too heavy, you can put stuff in your horse, but there was a point where I was just in the middle of, I can't remember, I think it might have been Neuhof, oh no, it was Urzig, sorry, I was just a bit too overburdened. I had a few things, I dropped a few things, some clothes that I'd stolen off a dead person. I definitely didn't kill them, because it wasn't unveiling. Anyway, there were some clothes, some tunics and things that I'd stolen off a dead person on me, so I dropped them on the floor, walked off, and just stood there for a little bit. Because I was just looking, I was tabbed out looking at some stuff, and I could see on OBS on my side, I could see the game still running because it was still capturing it, but I was just tabbed out, and I saw this guy walking over, so I tabbed back in just to see what he was doing. This villager, he'd obviously just woken up because it was very early hours of the morning. He was the only guy out on the streets at the moment. He was in his typical bed overalls and things like that. He walked out, he walked up to these things on the floor that I'd literally just dropped before, me as a character have dropped in this game, and this NPC walks over. He's like, I'll have that. He picks up the tunic, walks off, leaves some of the carrots that I left on the floor. They were a bit dirty. Picks up the tunic and the trousers, and he just walks off. I was like, what? What just happened? What? How do NPCs interact with the world like that in a game? It's one of the most dumbfounding and incredible things that I've ever seen in the game, and it's so stupid because that's just something that would happen in real life. You'd expect that to happen in real life, but because it's happening in a game, I was just so awestruck. This guy comes and picks up some of the loot that I've literally just dropped on the floor because I didn't need it. He obviously needed it. He was a poor villager. He came up, picked some of these tunics up and walked off with them. I was like, what the hell is going on? It was so incredible. There's things like, I walked across a camp, and this was a camp where there were some knights in it. They were pretty kitted out in good armor, but they took all their armor off. They went to a chest, they took all their armor off, and they went out hunting, as you would do. You don't really go out hunting in your armor, as I said in my hunting tutorial video. Go and watch that video. But they left all their stuff in a chest. I came across this camp. I looked in this chest and all their armor was there. All these knights, they'd taken everything off. But they just went out with a few hunting tunics, a few hats and things like that with their bows. And they'd gone out hunting. But they'd left all their armor in this chest. So I was like, alright, I'm nicking that, had that. I made about 10 grand that day. That was quite nice. People they have their own lives. Everyone does their own things. There are things like attacks on the road, okay? So even in fast travel, you're going to get attacked on the road. The time moves as you move. Fast travel, it still moves. It doesn't pause like any other game. It's more of, you have to be very wary you're going. If you're going past some forests and things, you might want to be a bit wary about fast traveling because you're more likely to be attacked that way because you're not really looking at where you're going. So I was attacked on the road, and it can be anything from a guy with a club to a group of armored mercenaries that can absolutely destroy you. I was attacked on the road, and at first, the few times I got attacked on the road, I was like, oh god, I've got to run away. I just ran away straight on my horse, then continued with my fast traveling. But the other times I was like, right, okay, I've leveled up now, I've got some good gear, and I'll stand up to this. These two guys with clubs started chasing me. One of them, he tried to attack with me, and I've learned to do, I can't remember what it's called now, but it's when they attack and you parry and attack at the same time, so you like hit them in the face with the butt of your sword. And I did that with the pommel, sorry. And I hit him in the face. He yelled straight away, and his friend was like, wait, what? And he started running off because I just beaten up his friend in like 2 seconds. The more powerful you are, the more moves you make. Like, say, if you make some really cool fancy moves at the beginning, someone's just going to be like, god, I can't fight that guy, he's too good. And they'll run off or they'll yield. The game just works so well. All the characters react so well to pretty much everything. It feels like this whole medieval life. Towns and villages, they're so beautiful, designed and done. I understand they're very historically accurate to the time, with getting many historians to fact check all this sort of stuff. It's so beautifully well done, but everyone still has their own life. Maybe you want to go to the armory and buy a weapon, like I said I did before. You might turn up and the guy isn't there, or his door's locked. It might be quite late in the evening, so he's probably gone to bed. Or maybe it's early in the morning and it hasn't even woken up. Everyone has their own life, they do certain things. You have to go to the right places at the right time, or you'll miss it. Let's say if you've got a mission to save someone, or you've got... Oh, I know what I did. Yes, this is a funny one. There's one mission, a side mission, where you have to get a cure for someone because they're a little bit ill. I went to get that cure, and I hadn't learned brewing yet, so I tried to do some brewing. I couldn't read yet. I hadn't learned to read. I had not gone to the scribe to learn to read. I couldn't read any of the recipe books. So I was like, right, I can't do this. 10 minutes later, this person had died because I'd not done it in time. Everything is moving around you. Everyone has their own life. Even some of the quests you're not going to be able to do because you get distracted, you do something else. But if it's something like someone's going somewhere or doing something, you have to meet someone at a certain time, the time's going to move on. They're going to be annoyed at you next time you see them because you've not met them at that time. Everything is still moving. The more time you spend around walking around a town, trading with people, talking to people, the more they'll start to recognize you. Every time you go into Rattay now, pretty much, people are going to say, oh, hi Henry, how you doing? Oh, Henry's come to see us. Oh, look at that knight if I'm going in big armor. Wearing clean and looked after armor will make people welcome you as a knight. When you talk to them, they'll be more convinced, maybe even a bit threatened by you, so you'll be able to get more out of them, or even just honored to see you, and they'll be like, oh, hi sir knight, what makes you come and see me? I'm very honored to be in your presence, and you'll be able to talk to them, or you'll get more things out of them, and you'll be able to advance the story in that way. But even if you go up to them in dirty overalls, they're going to be like, what are you doing up to here? They might even start a fight with you if you try and ask too much, because you're in dirty overalls, they don't feel threatened by you. So even the stuff you wear is important. Everything flows as one. Nothing really breaks its immersion apart from, of course, a few bugs, but bugs are patchable. I have to say, this game isn't for everyone. It isn't for people that like spamming one button to kill hundreds of enemies. It isn't for someone that needs the game to spoon feed them on every quest and let you become an overpowered god. If you like that sort of thing, stay away from this game. You'll find it boring, as I've heard some people say. It's everything but boring, Kingdom Come Deliverance. Some of these journalists have played it for a few hours and they've been like, alright, okay, that's my review done. You need to put time into this game, you need to put effort into this game, you need to play it like you are the character, not playing a character. You need to be in this real life. If you're shit at something, practice. You're going to be terrible at something at the beginning. Pretty much everything you're going to be terrible. Practice in that certain thing. Keep practicing, as you would do in real life. I mean, if you're terrible in real life, you don't just sit there like, right, I'm bad at this, I'm just going to give up on life. No, you're going to be like, right, I want to be good at this, I'm going to practice at this, I'm going to do some archery training, I'm going to go to the archery ranges, I'm going to go into tournaments, or I'm going to do some duels with people, I'm just going to go and crouch behind people, stab them, slit their throats and stuff, and I'm going to get my stealth stuff up. That's just how it works. You have to keep doing things to get better at them. You're not going to be amazing at anything at the beginning. It's not going to give you tips and tricks, it won't carry you along the way, and it won't help you at every turn. It gives you the simulation, and you make the life. It doesn't tell you how to do it, it gives you this platform and you decide how you go with it. Play it as your own life, nothing more, nothing less. That's pretty much most of my thoughts. I think I'm pretty much got everything out about Kingdom Come Deliverance. Yeah, I'd say so. I know this is a very long rant video. It might have annoyed a few people saying, oh, industry changing. Witcher and Skyrim did this before. Witcher and Skyrim did different things. I don't doubt. I know they're great games. I love playing Skyrim. I've not really played too much with the Witcher games, but I have seen a lot of gameplay and I have dabbled in them a little bit. But they're just different games. They're not comparable. Don't say, oh, this isn't industry changing, because it has changed. No game has been like this in the past few years, and I think more games are going to become this type of game. It's been so successful, 500,000 copies in the first 2 days, incredible sales for a game that is a completely new thing for this Warhorse Studios. They've only just started a few years ago. This is their first game, and I think it's absolutely incredible what they've done. They've achieved something that no game company has done in the past 15 years. And I think it needs to be greatly commended. If you guys enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like, remember to subscribe to the channel if you want more Kingdom Come Deliverance videos, but I think I need to go and take a snap now and take a rest because I am exhausted. Thank you guys for watching, and until then, I will see you in the next one.